A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a dramatic turn of events in Georgia, protests erupted in the capital city of Tbilisi as tens of thousands took to the streets in response to the government's controversial decision to suspend negotiations for joining the European Union. The protests, which have now entered their third night, have resulted in 44 individuals being hospitalized, including 27 protesters, 16 police officers, and 1 media worker. The unrest was ignited after Prime Minister Erupt announced the suspension of EU talks, claiming it was a necessary measure against what he described as shameful and offensive blackmail. This statement came just hours after the European Parliament condemned the recent parliamentary elections in Georgia, deeming them neither free nor fair, and calling for a rerun under international supervision. The atmosphere in Tbilisi has been charged, with demonstrators throwing stones and setting off fireworks outside the parliament building. An effigy of Bidzina Ivanishvili, the founder of the ruling Georgian Dream Party and a billionaire with ties to Russia, was burned by the crowd, symbolizing the anger directed at the government. The Prime Minister has since issued a stern warning against any further violence, stating that any violations of the law would be met with the full force of the legal system. He emphasized that the narrative suggesting Georgia's European integration was halted was unfounded, asserting that the government was merely rejecting external pressures. The protests are seen as a culmination of widespread discontent following the October 26 parliamentary elections, which were marred by allegations of rigging and foreign interference, particularly from Russia. The opposition has accused the Georgian Dream Party of orchestrating a fraudulent election to maintain power, and has called for new elections to ensure a fair representation of the people's will. President Salome Zurabishvili, who aligns herself with pro-Western sentiments, echoed these concerns, stating that Georgia risks becoming a quasi-Russian state under the current regime. She has called for elections that guarantee the integrity of the democratic process, insisting that the people's choice must not be undermined. The government's abrupt decision to halt EU accession negotiations is particularly alarming for many Georgians who view EU membership as a pathway to greater stability and freedom from Russian influence. The European Union had granted Georgia candidate status in December 2023, contingent upon meeting specific recommendations, but this latest development has put that status in jeopardy. The EU has previously cut financial support to Georgia following the passage of a controversial foreign influence law, which many see as a significant step back for democratic freedoms in the country. As tensions continue to rise, the international community is watching closely. EU lawmakers have urged for a rerun of the parliamentary vote within a year, emphasizing the need for thorough international oversight to restore public trust in the electoral process. Meanwhile, the Georgian government has rejected any notion of foreign interference in its internal affairs, with Prime Minister Kobakidze labeling criticisms from the EU as a cascade of insults and accusing foreign entities of attempting to instigate a Maidan-style scenario in Georgia, reminiscent of the 2014 Ukrainian Revolution. The situation remains fluid, with the potential for further escalation as protests show no signs of abating. Demonstrators are determined to voice their opposition to what they perceive as a betrayal of their aspirations for European integration and democratic governance. The coming days will be critical in determining the trajectory of Georgia's political landscape and its relationship with both the EU and Russia. As the government grapples with the fallout from these protests, the call for accountability and genuine democratic reform resonates strongly among the populace, underscoring the urgent need for dialogue and resolution in a nation at a crossroads. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.